Tell them who you really are.
I'm an interdimensional traveler.
Doesn't that feel better?
Old Knight, you have my permission to kill me.
37 seconds. I will keep count for you. Good night, away.
Jesus Christ, what in the World Wide Web did I just watch? So, I just watched the OA, and oh boy, is this show something special. It's a creeptastic mindfuck mixture of science fiction, if we could even call it that, fantasy, supernatural elements with a tangent of interpretive dance as an avenue for interdimensional travel. No, I did not exaggerate. This show will challenge your suspension of disbelief and say to hell with coherence, seize your critical pondering, abandon the realms of logic, and refrain from posing any inquiries. For the fulfillment of this spectacle, it is imperative that you simply possess unwavering faith. The OA's Ode to Wisdom, Chapter 1, Verse 1. But before I can get into the bizarre aspects of the show, let's talk about what I actually liked. Credit where credit's due. For starters, the OA deserves praise for trying to do something different, albeit it was awkward for the most part. In a world where most shows are predictable, generic, and sometimes trying a little too hard to be relatable, the OA is in fact a breath of fresh air. I would be lying if I said among the craziness of it all, I wasn't just a tiny bit curious and intrigued. I actually did have a bit of fun watching this, to be honest. Secondly, the characters in this show are actually really good. The Crestwood Five, consisting of Steve, Buck, French, Jesse, and BB-8, are interesting characters to put together and actually make work. Each of them have their own struggles and demons to face. Steve is a volatile and troubled delinquent, struggling with anger issues. Buck, a transgender teen navigating his identity. French, the high school jock with a tough exterior but a soft heart. Jesse, who battles depression and drug addiction, and BB-8, a teacher grieving her brother's death. They're not just side characters whose purpose is just to support the protagonist or check off some representation boxes. They are complex individuals, each with their own arcs and growth throughout the series. They are authentic and relatable because they are flawed, just like real people. Now, I did think putting together this group was a little creepy at first. I mean, 2 grown adults and 4 teenagers running off in the night to hang out in an abandoned building. That would raise some alarm bells. But fortunately, the show is aware of this unconventional kinship and interweaves it into the overall story, and thus making it more believable. The bond that forms among them comes together really well. Each of them is a misfit in their own way, and together they form a makeshift family. The creators did a stellar job in portraying these relationships with depth and sensitivity. Their interactions are not always smooth or straightforward. They argue, they challenge each other, they push each other's boundaries, but through it all, they maintain a deep-seated respect and love for each other. It starts off pretty decent. It follows Prairie Johnson, who reappears after a 7-year disappearance with her previously lost eyesight restored, and a new name, the OA, abbreviated for the original angel. Okay, so far so good. Great setup and an interesting mystery. Obviously, I'm hooked. And then these dances, while visually interesting, were an odd choice for a story like this, and honestly a little pretentious. Now, it's weird, sure, but for the most part, I just accepted it. It can't get worse than that, right? Wrong. Season 2 takes it up a notch. I'm talking telepathic octopi and interpretive dancing robots. Wait. There's more. There's a house that exists in multiple dimensions, a mobile game that leads to alternate realities, among other crazy shenanigans going on in the show. I don't even want to go into it further. By no means did I bear false witness, and no, I am not high, but I want whatever these writers were smoking, I swear. With that said,
I have some questions.
Question 1. The concept of infinite worlds with different versions of ourselves and the possibility of traveling between these worlds is quite riveting. However, the process presented in the OA is a little impractical. Think about it for a second. In this show, when someone travels to another dimension, to another version of themselves, they leave their body behind, very much dead. This means that someone who frequently travels between worlds is consistently, essentially killing themselves, committing mass suicide or mass murder, if you will. I'm looking at you, Elodie. So from a conscientious standpoint, is this okay? Which leads me to my next question. Keitan, why is she here? Obviously, interdimensional travel poses some risks and creates problems. You'd think there'd be some rules or a guide, and I thought Keitan would be just that, given the way she was introduced. So why does she allow it all to happen? What is her purpose? Come to think of it, she took Nina's eyesight, which becomes the catalyst for all the horrors she ends up facing. Why claim to be protecting her when you do something like that? Is she a secret twist villain? At least that's what I was expecting while watching this. Question 3. What was the point of eating animals? In season 1, it's insinuated that it was crucial to eat something alive in a different dimension in order to travel. This is never explained further and is subsequently abandoned in the second season, never to be brought up again, just like Keitan. Partake of sustenance that thrives within an alternative realm, that you may proceed on your journey to diverse worlds, despite its utter dispensability. Simply execute it. For your guide, Keitan, devoid of narrative relevance, has commanded thus: incline your faith beyond attainable horizons, and contentment shall befall your spirit. 1 Chronicles of the OA chapter 4 verse 17. Amen. Question 4. In season 2, each character has traveled interdimensionally for the first time. They have no idea what kind of life they led in this new world and have yet to acclimate to this new reality. Later, it's revealed that Hap was extracting seeds from people's heads to create a garden that acts as a map for the multiverse. Why are these seeds coming out of people's heads? How does that work? And by the way, Hap just got here. Even if this was his alternate self's work, when did he have the time to understand what his alternate self was working on that quickly? Okay. Question 5. BBA seems to possess unique abilities that allow her to perceive things across dimensions. So, did BBA have an off-screen near-death experience and eat an animal too? Where were these abilities in season 1? They just conveniently manifest in season 2 and can conveniently only sense the dimension that OA is in? Also, is she psychic? Because at some point she seems to have a premonition of a future event in her dimension. Where did these abilities come from, and why does she have them? Did I miss something? Question 6. The second season features a recurring element, the rose window in a mysterious house in San Francisco. OA explains that this rose window serves as a doorway to other dimensions. This is confusing. The show previously depicted dimensional travel as a mental process rather than a physical one. If we now have portals, what was the point of everything else? The dancing, the experiments, is this show just making things up as it goes? Maybe I'm just dumb. My head hurts. Question 7. We're also introduced to a new character, Elodie, an experienced dimensional traveler. Though it typically requires at least 5 individuals performing movements to travel, Elodie employs robots to execute the movement, allowing her to travel between dimensions. Where does she get them? And if she made them, does she make new ones every time she travels? The Book of the Prophet Nina 2 verse 3. There emerged a remarkable creature, a telepathic Herculean octopus, whose sinister nature inclined towards the act of murder. Astonishingly, this dread-inducing event unfolds before a captive audience, seeking to witness the unfolding of unnatural wonders. Nevertheless, let it be known that the demise of this creature renders its presence infinitesimal for future contemplation. However, dear viewer, in the depths of your heart, cling faithfully to the chronological events woven before you. Amen. So turns out Nina was a psychic medium who frequently had telepathic conversations with a giant octopus in a nightclub. I can't believe I said that with a straight face. So despite never having a near-death experience like the OA, Nina can also glimpse into the multiverse. And just like BBA, I have to ask, how? Who found the octopus? Why is this done in front of an audience? Is it entertainment or a cult? Why an octopus? And finally, the biggest twist came in the finale. The show ends with OA, Hap, and Steve jumping dimensions and inhabiting the bodies of the actors who played them. A show within a show. I'm done. Look, I'm a simple person to entertain. I don't ask for too much. I mean, for heaven's sake, I'm a fan of Demon Slayer and its writing can be described as inadequate at best, but it still gives me something to latch onto. Wow, so pretty. There's only so much my ADD brain can take, and this show definitely ain't it. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the cancellation. After 2 seasons, Netflix decided not to renew the OA for a 3rd season. Regardless of my grievances with the show, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little invested in the madness, thanks in part to its awesome characters. Sure, a lot of it was crazy, and maybe a lot of these questions would have been resolved if the show got a continuation, but based on what we already got, I highly doubt it. Anyway, why did it get cancelled? They had Zendaya too. How did they fail? I guess it all comes down to viewership, popularity, and even budget. A tough business decision that ultimately led to its cancellation. Or everyone just got weirded out by the octopus and tapped out. In the realm where truth meets fantasy, a final chapter and verse unveil. A tale woven in the abyss of creativity, a concoction of imagination and guile. The OA's ode to wisdom, verse 14. May it tempt your curious mind, but heed, dear viewer, there lies no induction. In this realm where distortions intertwine, for within this playful stanza's embrace lies a tale created from thin air and time. I have no idea where I was going with this.